Just for starters, for being out 2 weeks, getting back in the mix, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Spent a lot of time getting right, trusting the process with the treatment and things like that, the rehab and everything been smooth, so I'm feeling good.
Raheem said that he feels really good about your progression over the week, so is it expected we'll see you on Monday Night Football?
Yeah, for sure. I'm feeling good too, so, it's great to be back outside with the guys and just ready to get back to it.
How much are you excited to just get back to it against this Bills offense that, has the reigning MVP?
No, it's great. They got an explosive team. Josh Allen leading the guys, so Monday night prime time at the Benz, something I was keen for, and I'm happy I'm 100% to go. So.
And how would you describe a player like Josh Allen and what he's able to do on the field?
Just a playmaker. The play's never dead with him. You got to play all the way through the whistle, and just continue to compete at a high level all the way throughout the game.
What's the challenge of what they do present offensively, aside from Josh, because we know he's obviously incredible?
Yeah, they're going to be themselves. The offense goes through Josh, and, he's just going to play at a high level. So just us, coming in and taking all our reps serious, training during practice and playing the second play, that's what we, been talking about, just knowing he's going to scramble, get out the pocket, make plays with his legs, and throw the ball at any given time.
There's an evolution of this defense of sorts. You guys have really climbed to the top of the rankings in so many different things. What do you think is working for you guys on defense?
Yeah, defense is all about everybody doing their job. So I think collectively, from the trenches to the linebackers to the back end, everybody just communicating and playing at a high level all the way throughout the game. And just that's our biggest challenge, is just playing a full four-quarter game, not getting bored in the process, and just straining all the way through.
You see a guy like Xavier Watts get Rookie of the Month.
Mm-hmm.
What's exciting about the way that he's playing right now?
It was expected, just how he go about his day here, and that's a big accolade, just something that he can, get a lot of confidence boost off of, and knowing that it's still early in the season, got to keep it going, but. Nothing surprised us on the back end. We see how he go about his meetings and the whole process of getting ready for games, and it shows.
When you look at this Bills offense, what do you see about how they utilize their tight ends, because they've been leaning on them a little bit?
Yeah, Josh, like I said, he's someone who can keep a play alive. So the tight ends are a safety net for a quarterback who get out the pocket and make plays down the field. And the tight ends are a great asset for quarterbacks who do that. So, you just got to, respect their tight ends and get those guys covered too. That's why I take all 11 to take on the Bills.
This team hasn't played on Monday night in quite a while. What does it mean to be able to play and just kind of show where this team is at?
No, it's huge. Just primetime game, but not letting the moment be too big for us, and just go out there and play football at the end of the day. It's football.
What about the secondary that's filled in for you, and just in general that's kind of stepped up, and it's been a really nice balance across
for sure game. Just the depth, like I said, everybody coming in and owning their role, it's been great, and I've been a part of that this whole time I've been out, watching the guys get ready, and also being a sponge for the guys on the sideline when they come over, and just telling them what I see from afar, and they just go out and play, and just that is just team ball, and that's what I bring to the table when I was out.
Yeah, how tough was it being out there?
No, it's super tough. Like, just pacing the sideline. You actually feel more hurt pacing the sideline than playing. You feel all the aches in the knees, your back start hurting. So I'm like, I was definitely trying to speed the process up and getting back. Yeah, that ain't fun.
How was it getting back out on the grass today?
No, it's good. I had to do, tune up a couple things, the basics, and, just get back going. But overall, I felt super great, just being able to play football again. And, that's the best part.
Could you talk about how effective you and Tyler have been together thus far?
Yeah.
This season?
Yeah, me and Ty, just how we play off each other has been just amazing for not only me but for him. And we've always that's my brother, so we've always prepared for games in ways that he knows when he has to go in and when I have to go in, and we just play off each other so well. But that dude, he compliments me tremendously, as I hope I do for him as well. But it's hard to do it without Tyler. It's hard to do it in this league now without another back that's at a high level, because that makes your offense so much more effective. So that's my dude, man.
And Coach Zach talked about, last year they wanted to get you set at running back. Now they can start expanding, and you're picking up things. How do you feel that expanding part of it has been coming along for you?
I think it's been great. For me, like, the goal for me is to be the best I can for the offense. So to be a threat at receiver, at running back, just anywhere where I'm lined up, like, hopefully it makes the defense confused and makes them miscommunicate. And, wherever I go, like, it opens up something for Drake or for Mooney or for Ray Ray, or Kyle. Like, so I'm trying to, like, sometimes be a decoy to open up the offense for them. And then, when I get called and when the ball gets in my hands, like, I'm trying to do whatever I can to, get those touchdowns for us so we can win the game.
And that swing pass is like 50 and 69 yards.
Oh.
Like, is that part of that reception?
They
probably won't cover the guy.
Yes. Like, both those plays, they just lost me. And, I was like, all right. And Mike knows immediately, like, when I get lost or when they lose me, just give me the ball and see what happens.
Does stats matter to you?
Nah, not at all. I play my hardest. I play, obviously, for God. But, when I get the ball, I try to make what's best of it. But, yeah, stats, like, I look at this as a team effort, a whole complete offense, and I feel like we all eat when we are doing everything the right way and executing right. So that's what matters to me, is when we all do very well and when we all just are playing at a very high level in the offense.
Raheem was talking about you're a guy that leads by example. However, recently you've kind of been a little bit more of a vocal leader.
Yeah.
When did that change for you, and why was that important for you?
Yeah, I'll say like the beginning of the Minnesota week. Like the beginning of practice, I was just super, like, amped up, like, just ready to go for the game. And I started, like, to tell the guys, like, we have to just amp our energy up so we can be at our best. And I think they responded to me pretty well. Obviously, Chris, he's the guy. Like, when Chris says let's focus, let's pay attention, like, we're all just like, it's like robots. Like, we're just like, all right, like, let's go. But for me, like, I feel like I can just kind of play off of him and help him out a little bit and do it in my most positive way. Like, I'm not just mother effing guys and yelling at guys. Like, that's not who I am. So I'm just trying to make it as positive as I can and make them respond in the best way possible and get our best efforts out there. So I would say that was when I kind of started to use my voice a little bit more, and I mean it's been pretty working pretty well for us up to this point.
Sorry, what did you notice from the guys when that started to happen in the Minnesota game? How is that collaboration happening between you guys?
Yeah, I mean it was great. When we're like in a slump or in a lull, like just using my voice and saying like, come on, like let's go, and talking to them one on one, picks their energy up. And we all have high standards, we all have high expectations. So for us, like, if I can do my part in trying to get those guys to play their hardest and to play at their expectation and achieve their goals too, then I'm doing something the right way. So that's always my my goal is to help them achieve their goals, and so we can all just, like I said earlier, like all eat together.
You said you're like robots, but what's the response to Chris Lindstrom? Like, how is he whenever he's doing what you're describing?
Oh, yeah. Like, if we're kind of talking in the huddle and we're trying to get a playoff, like Chris is like, yo, like let's go, like stop playing around. And we need that. Like he's grown into that. We all respect him at the highest level. So that's what happens when you're the best guard in the NFL. Like, you get everybody's attention and everybody listens to you. And I really appreciate him for that, because he's a big brother to me and for everybody else. And he's the guy that gets it all going. So it's good.
How solid has Elijah Wilkinson been for you guys so far?
Very solid. They asked me in the beginning of the season, like, how is he gonna be? Is he gonna do what Caleb's done? Is he gonna? And I just said, like, y'all just wait and see. And he's exceeded expectations so far, and he's been doing a very good job. And I think with Led being the coach and how he coaches those guys and just how they play for him and then how they play for each other, it's something special that not all offensive lines have. And that bond is created throughout time. And with Elijah, when he came in, like, they all brought him in as one of the the brothers. And I mean he's done a very good job so far.
You said the 50-yard catch, the 69-yard catch, the defense lost you. Are you surprised the defense is still losing on the field?
I mean, it's Z-Rod, man. Like, it's his play calling. Like, sometimes, he tries to put the defense in a bind all the time. Like, he never wants to keep them comfortable. So, for me, I just look at the play sheet and, whenever I see it, I'm like, this play could be could work very well, and that's what it did. And sometimes like when they do lose me, it's because there's a lot of crossing routes. There's so many routes that are coming off of it, and I'm just trying to like see what the defender's doing and outrun him and take him to the shed. So like that's all Z-Rock, man. He's super creative, and we just all listen to him.
Of all the things that he's added to your plate, like in your second year in his offense, what have you enjoyed the most? What's been the best?
I'll just say like there's no limit in what he lets me do. I run the football. That's what I do. That's God blessed me to do. But then he let me play receiver too, like run routes, catch the football. So like he's up in my arsenal and doing so many things. It's making me just a complete player. And I mean, I really appreciate him for doing that because it's only just helping us become the best offense that we can be.
Bijan, I'm curious, you talked about being in the pass catching game a little more, and I remember about a year ago I asked you, and you're like, I just want to play ball, whatever they need me to do.
Yeah.
But you've also become more vocal. So
Yeah.
this offseason, was there any conversation like, get me the ball through the air, maybe a little more tip in, or no?
Nah, that's not who I am. I know I'm never the guy to be like, yo, like give me the ball, like I need the ball, because I just want to, see everybody, have touches and succeed. So I don't want to lie to you and say like I did. Like, I never did.
I think we talked about this a little bit last year. You started to notice the shift in the way that defenders are approaching you.
Yeah.
Do you notice it even more so now this year?
Yeah, I mean, they always approach me. It's been the past 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
They're going to approach me. They're going to make sure they know where I'm at on the field every single play. It's been going on since the beginning of the season last year. So, now it's just, having the mentality that, you can't be stopped out there. And that's all of us. Like, that's how we play. That's how we, go about our business. So, but we got to execute. And, it doesn't matter who's out there getting, looked at or scouted on. Like, you still got to do your job, and you still got to do it at a really high level.
You're not a trash talker on the field. We know this. But
Yeah.
do you notice a lot of guys trying to get you to do that?
No,
Okay.
they don't even talk to me. And there's a couple guys that do, but I don't say a word. So like it's like awkward for them. They're like okay. Like last game, somebody tried to trash talk me, and I just looked at him and I kept walking. And then he was like, "Damn, B, like nothing." I was like, "Nah, bro. Like, what do you want me to say?" So yeah, like I just, just stay silent because I have a job to do, and I'm not gonna let that distract me from the game, and that's just how I've always been.
How do you find consistency? Like, just not for you personally, but for this offense. I mean, you have the real highs of 1 week, and then it seems like it goes back down, and then it seems like we go right back up. You could say consistency is like what you want, but it's like, how do you get to that level?
Just a high level execution. It's the little details. Like, I'm a big believer in details, and Coach Petrie, that's what he harps on like every single day. It's all in the details. It's how we go about our business. And even for him, like he tells me to tell everybody else, but like everybody knows, if we're very detailed and very sound in what we do, like in the run game and the pass game. Like I always say, like we're just a really hard offense to stop because there's so many moving parts, there's so many pieces that are on the field at once. So, it's really just.
First, Illinois is Ohio State this week.
Oh, man.
Curveball.
We got it.
Hey, how's it been getting y'all been out there bye week? How are you feeling coming back in and getting some things worked out last game offensively?
Yeah, after a bye week, especially, after year one, kind of learning how to do things, coming from a bye week, I think it was important that I did the right things for my mind, body, and soul. And, coming back today and getting that first practice in, I felt good to be back out there and run around a little bit. So it's exciting to be back with the guys, and I'm looking forward to Monday.
Do you feel pressure to step into Darnell's role just as the downfield explosive guy, or is this more just you want to play your game?
I just want to play my game. I just love football, man. And anytime I get to go out there and play, just another day, another opportunity that I get to do what I love. So I try not too hard to think about what could happen, and just, my preparation sets me up for the opportunity. So just go out there and give it everything I got.
Where so in this offense and in your game do you just feel more comfortable?
I think just the processing of the plays and being able to play fast. I think that's huge. in college you get to a certain point where you're like, okay, like I'm just playing football, like it's just a flow state, and I'm starting to get that feeling back.
How long does it take to come back from an injury that you sustained like in week 1 to like now to find that level?
You know, it's just part of the game. As much as you don't want injuries to happen, it happens. It's part of the game, and it's something that, you know, you just have to accept. So it sucked, you know, to be out for that time, and you know, I just tried to take that time to control the things I could and get better with what I could. So, you know, when I got the chance to, you know, get cleared and get back on the field, just right back to foot on the gas and trying to stay ready for my opportunities.
Was that your first time with a concussion?
No, I've had a couple concussions in my career. But yeah, whether it's an ankle sprain or a concussion, you kind of take the same approach of being intentional about the process, what you can do while you're away, and try not to focus on the negative side of, oh, well, I'm missing time. Well, maybe I'm falling behind. But there's also another side to that, to, you know, control the things you can control, and to be as intentional as possible with the things that you have control of. So I try to take that approach with it and just see what happens when I get back. And now I'm back.
Having all the reps with Mike, last year, does that, when you come in, does that make things a little easier? You kind of know his ball spin, just what's going on. You guys have a good relationship. He's very complimentary of you. You feel that's a good thing for you, and just walking in and you feel pretty comfortable with that? That's
a great thing. Anytime the quarterback feels like he has confidence to throw you the ball, that's a great thing for a receiver. So, you know, being that me and Mike got to play a little bit last year on the scout team and get some chemistry together, now that we're back on the field together, it's exciting.
Have we seen the best version of this Falcons offense yet?
No.
What's the next level?
You know, week to week, you see different guys have explosive games, and maybe one week it's this guy, maybe one week it's another guy, but just being able to, you know, piece all that together and have a full game of all the playmakers making plays, you know, when my number's called, me making plays and me being able to step up for the team and help us win games. So, you know, I'm just trying to do the best I can with the chances I get and see where God takes me.
Did you grow up watching Monday Night Football?
Every day. Every Monday.
Every Monday.
Hey, highlights every day.
But now you're playing in Monday Night Football. Like, is it kind of set in on you, or like, does that change anything?
You know, I try to act like, oh, yeah, I've gotten used to it now, and you know, it's, you know, the NFL. You know, I've always thought I knew I was going to be here. But every time I get on the field, like I try to like have that approach that I'm like, yeah, act like you've been there before. But it's still like, holy, like the nerves might go down every week and you might get more comfortable. But when you run out that tunnel, there's no feeling like it. So it's a blessing, bro. Like just to go out there and like the environment is just, it's a surreal thing. So it's a special thing.
How do you make sure that feeling never goes away?
I don't think it ever will. The other day, you know, when we were in the bye week, I was just kind of thinking about my journey and really kind of putting things into perspective. And like it's actually crazy. Like it's actually crazy. Like you go out there and like you almost still feel like a kid, even though I'm like physically there and I'm playing the game. Like you're like, bro, like that's so and so. Like holy cow! Like every week it's a surreal feeling, and I hope it never goes away.
Casey, we talked to you a lot in training camp about the game slowing down for you, and mentally you were starting to kind of understand the offense a lot better. Where do you feel like you're at mentally now that we're 4 games in? I know you missed some time, but still.
I'm ready to go. During the week of practice, I try to prepare for my best game every week. So, you know, whether it's on the field, after practice, doing some extra work, or, you know, in the playbook, making sure that everything's firing like it's supposed to. You never know when your time's going to come, and you never know when your opportunity is, and you don't know how many games, how many years you're going to get to do this. So I try to keep that approach every week and act like it's my last, and maybe it might be my best game ever.
Who was your biggest holy crap moment so far?
I think it was year one. It was DK Metcalf, and it was TJ Watt that I was just like yo, like, dude is like 7 feet, like just physically, like there's the 1%ers, like, oh, if you made it to the NFL, you're a 1%ers. Like, yeah, I'm a 1%er. But like, if you see those guys, you're like, bro, like, that's some next level, like, that's some next level stuff right there. So, you know, being able to compete against guys like that and know that you're in that same category of greatness, like, I'm on the same field as him. So it's pretty damn cool.
Speaking of that, a lot of people feel like that about Bijan Robinson, that he's becoming that 1% of running backs that have played in this league. What's special about being his teammate and watching him play football?
I think, you know, when you watch him play, you know, a lot of guys have a lot of technical aspects about their game that you can say, oh, well, it's this, well, it's that. Bijan is so Bijan that it's like when you see him play, it's just like damn, like he's balling. Like it's something special. So, you know, anytime he gets the ball and he's working a move, like we already know every time he catches the ball, the first man's gonna miss. So, you know, watching him on film, you try to take things from his game and apply it to yours, but you know, some things that he does is just special.
Do you think playing Josh Allen today to Monday night will be one of those holy cow moments? The reigning MVP, will that be one of those moments that you had that thought?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like everything that he's doing is great, and he's playing a high level of football. But you know, respectfully, you know, every game is the same approach. So whether it's I still have my hoop dream, so I like to use like basketball analogies and like, oh, LeBron James with Michael Jordan. Like if you were playing Michael Jordan, yeah, there's a moment where you're like, holy, that's Michael Jordan, and then like that switch goes off, and you got to lock back in. So I'm sure I'll get out there and be like, oh wow, like in warm-ups I'll be like, oh wow, like, this is cool. But when I put the helmet on and strap those cleats up, I'll be ready to go.
An opportunity for a big game on Monday Night Football. How excited are you for this challenge and just one of the only 2 games on TV that night?
Yeah, I'm very excited. You know, it's an opportunity for me to take on my first Monday Night Football game. So, you know, I'm just excited for the experience.
Did you watch a lot of Monday Night Football as a kid?
I assume so. I've watched a lot of football. So, yeah.
When you watch a quarterback like Josh Allen on tape, obviously he's a big guy, hard to take down. What stands out to you?
Exactly what you said. You know, he's a bigger guy, elite quarterback, you know, in this league, and can give him all the credit that's due. You know, congratulations on his past season, but you know, I'm excited. You know, embark on this journey of playing him. You know, I feel like we have a good defensive plan of executing well that we'll be able to get the job done.
You guys are number 1 in total defense right now. A lot is working for you defensively. What is working defensively for this group?
You know, I just feel like we're just executing the way we are. We're executing when times need to be execution needs to be well. And, you know, we don't really get into stats and numbers and things like that. And I just feel like we just keep playing football, we'll be all as well.
Can you describe what James Cook is like as a player?
Elusive, you know, quick, great running back.
Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, to be completely honest, like being in the division for the last 4 years with him, I've gone up against this guy a lot and this team, and you don't get a lot of sleep on this week, you know, for a lot of reasons. There's productive paranoia. There's a lot of things that occur. He just challenges you in so many ways. You know, Josh is you can make an argument he's the best football player in the NFL right now, offense, defense, otherwise. So he's tough. He's going to challenge our gap discipline as far as the way we rush him. He's going to challenge us on the back end, the way he throws the ball. He's surrounded with a skill group now that's better than he's had, in my opinion, in the last couple of years, so that's a problem as well. And when they get the run game going and they got everything popping, it can make it a very difficult task. So we're going to have to play our best football. It's going to be, like I told the guys this morning, we got to earn the right to win this game, and that means this week it's got to be a championship level prep, as it always is, you know, but we got to go to another space.
His tight ends, he's been using them But I guess they were mad at the wide receivers and so forth. But how do you balance that part of the attack? He's got Shakur and Keon, and Kincaid
Right.
to probably his best starter, tight end, and Dotson Knox can come up and get you too.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that he's got elite trust in all his skill. The way that he distributes the ball, tells you that. It's funny, like the progression might say, go here with the ball. So I know sometimes they're trying to create, they're trying to spread the ball around a little bit more than maybe they have in the past. But at the end of the day, it's like he gets to that 4th and 5th read on a consistent basis. So it's like, he gets it to the guys that need the ball. He gets to the guys that are open. You got to play 2 plays with this guy every single time. You have to approach it like, okay, this is the initial concept. I've got to glove that, and now transition to plaster. And the rush has to go the same way. We got to rush them initially, rush lanes, level the quarterback, et cetera, and then get ready for the chase component. So it's really preparing for 2 plays every single time. And if you do that, you give yourself the best opportunity to compete against these guys.
It seems like the vision that you had for Divine Diablo, the player you thought you were looking through 4 games, is in fact the player you've gotten. Is
Yep.
that accurate? I mean,
Absolutely.
mapped pretty closely to
Absolutely. Yep.
What did you see in your evaluation of him that gave you the confidence that he was going to be able to do all that?
Yeah, it's a profile, and I'm not saying he's this or that, but his profile has been one that we've had a lot of success in this system with. The most recent being Jamien Sherwood in New York. He was a converted safety that came to us, and he actually came out the same year as Divine, 2 guys that we targeted at a high level for that particular draft. Did it with Devondre Campbell when I was here. Fred Warner was a nickel that got converted to linebacker. It's in this day and age, the backers are put in so much space, and you got to navigate so many open field tackles, and you got to run with speed, and offensive coordinators become so creative. They'll get the linebackers on wide receivers on a consistent basis. So you got to have players that can run. He checks that box, in every way. And then my next big criteria is length. If you have speed and you have length, it gives you an opportunity to be very successful as a linebacker in this system. Now, what I didn't know was the human being that he is, which has just blown me away. The character, the football character, just the character as a man, the teammate that he is, the worker that he is, the humility that he has. I mean, it's almost like this guy, there's no way he's that good of a human being, but then he just keeps showing up as that same person. So, we're so fortunate to get him, and it's so exciting just to see him flourish and really become the player we thought he'd be.
I remember you and Raheem did sort of a deep dive on length and the attributes of length a few years back.
Absolutely, yeah.
What prompted that, and what did you feel like you learned?
Yeah, just always trying to find an edge in evaluation, and at the time I was a linebacker coach, so my big thing was like, what's the best indicator for success from a measurable standpoint? And not that that's the be-all, end-all, but where at least you can give me a pool of players and then I can really deep dive the tape. So the big one was like, what's the best indicator for success? We define success as length of career, whether that's right or wrong or different, whatever. That's what we used, and it wasn't a close second. It was arm length. So it worked both ways, if you can believe that. So it was the best indicator for success was arm length. The best indicator for not having success was arm length. It went both ways, So it was. It's huge but it makes sense when you think about it. Like, arm length is for open field tackling. You're not always going to be perfect with your tracking. These guys have elite quickness and speed. It gives you some room for error if you've tracked a little bit wrong, or if you left your feet, or if you just, your leverage was just off just a bit. It also helps you get on and off blocks. It helps you separate from linemen, and also there's the Da Vinci Code, the coverage radius. That picture, I always use that as a model of. That's a real thing for a guy that's he's got to get in these dig windows and dagger windows and knife windows, and length is huge for that, because he's got receivers on him running with real speed that you can't always run with those guys, especially from the position that he'll be in, but that coverage radius definitely can discourage throws where it wouldn't otherwise.
Is there a threshold? Was there like an arm length that over this is great? This is green,
right?
Orange, this is red.
For a linebacker in particular, it was like 32 3/4 was like that was the basement. That was as low as you wanted to go, and then everything over that was good. So you look at the current day linebackers. Bobby Wagner, 34 and change. Fred has 32 3/4. He's right on that. Devine has that. Caden has length. All the linebackers are having a lot of success right now. The vast majority of them have long arms.
You're not the first coach or person to say that Josh Allen may be the best player in football. Reigning MVPs get that respect. The total defense stats would say Atlanta could make a claim to the top defense in football. What do you read 4 games into the season? Is that misleading? What does that show?
In all honesty, I'm a diligent self-scouter, I am, and I'm very aware of statistics, more to shine a light on things that we might not be doing as well. And there's a lot of areas we need to improve still. We've got a long way to go as a defense. And fortunate we have a group that just, there's some groups that you shine a light on some of the flaws or some of the deficiencies or some of the things we're struggling with, and there's a level of sensitivity. Whereas this group is not that group. They want to know where they're struggling. They want to know where they can get better. They want to be challenged and held to a standard. And it makes it really fun to come to work every day working with these guys because they want to be coached, they want to be developed, and they want to be the best in the league. So we've had a fairly decent start as of yet, but we got a long way to go.
What are some areas that you pinpoint for improvement right now?
Well, the run defense is not where we want it to be right now, so we got to improve that. And there has been a little bit of growing pains when you teach this attack style. There's moments of games, and it's human nature, and we got to fight it at all times. And with more time on task, it'll go away. But when a little bit of adversity hits, there's just human instinct to go back to what you know and go back to what you've been programmed to do your entire life. Because the attack system is really, it abandons stuff that you've been taught since Pop Warner, to maintain my gap, to keep my outside arm and leg free. Those are not terms we use. That's like blasphemy to football purists and to players that have been trained at this since, they put on a helmet for the first time. So we've had a little bit of that at times, where we reverted a little bit to old techniques, and it's natural. And I'm hopeful as we just keep working it, and because we're not going to deviate, we're not going to change, we're not going to alter our style at all. So in my experience, this stuff will just improve, and it'll keep improving. And from a passer standpoint, and really from just the ball standpoint, turnovers and sacks, and we've been okay, but way too many misstops. Way too many misstops on the ball. We got to finish those plays. Great defenses make those plays. They change the game. Obviously, we know the ball is everything, and the sacks. I don't want to be a big pressure team. I don't. I want us to rely on our front four to win and do their thing and play coverage behind it, But right now we're just not quite there yet. We're getting closer to that, and we're working towards that, where we'll pressure a little bit less, and until we get there, that's what we'll have to do, and to help the players out and put them in the best position to be successful. But I'd like for that to improve as we get going too. Just less pressure, less blitzing, less bringing 5 or more.
With the return, it may not happen this week. It may happen. The Taquan Graham, his 21-day window is opened. What would you get in adding a guy like that to this room?
Well, he talk about profile. He is the profile for our insiders. We look for explosion. We look for speed. We look for a guy that's got amazing instinct and toughness. He's going to rep our style at the highest level. So I'm very excited to get him back. And he's got a really cool way about himself. He has an infectious energy that he walks around with. He's quiet, but he says a lot without saying much, just in the way that he plays and carries himself. So he has an element of elevating those around him too. So there's tremendous value in TQ.
It seems like that's sort of the vibe with this defensive line group. Just starting with Nate Ollie and then Rook and Brandon. Is that something that you guys are looking for, or is that something that's just natural to that position?
No, it's absolutely something we look for. It's the profile is arm length, speed, cool, height, weight. We all get that, but there's also an approach and an energy and a makeup that's very important to me, and very important to this building. It's very important to Ra that we bring guys in that love this game, and they demonstrate that love in the way they approach the game every day. And I really believe if you collect a bunch of guys, now they have to have some sort of skill set, obviously, but you collect a bunch of guys that really love this game, they'll overcome deficiencies. They'll become better than maybe the measurables would indicate. And what I've found as I've become more and more committed to that, because I think as a younger coach, and I still got a long way to go and a lot to learn, but as a younger coach, I'd be so enamored by measurables and I can make him love the game. And I've learned that, yeah, you can increase someone's, not love, but like for the game. You can, but you're never going to make a guy that just doesn't love the game to just love it, you know? So the more I've gotten committed to that, I've seen guys become more than I thought they could become. But two, inadvertently, it's made my job so much more fun and rewarding because you're surrounded by a bunch of guys that just are willing to do whatever it takes, you know, and that's really cool. And that's what we have here.
Anything else?
And then kind of that, just staying in that vibe, I know we talked a little bit about getting pressure. You said you don't want to be a pressure team, but I mean, getting sacks and getting mobile quarterbacks onto the ground, I mean, it's a difficult test this weekend, but it's a difficult test in the NFL in general. Ra talked about how it was going to be a bit of a goal to kind of increase those sack numbers potentially moving forward. How do you do that without sending that extra pressure? Like, is that something you can coach week to week, or is that just a game-by-game type of thing?
Well, you just got to develop rushers, honestly. Like, you got to get guys that can win one-on-ones. And it's funny, someone showed me the stat from my 4 years in New York as opposed to this 4-game stretch here where I think I had the lowest or the second lowest bringing 5 or more, but we consistently had top 3 pressure rate on the quarterback, you know, hits, sacks, off the spots, all those things. So I'd really like to be able to get to that. And when you get guys that can win one-on-ones, the athletic quarterbacks, the mobile quarterbacks, they become less of an issue. And once you start to really understand how to rush together, that is an art. Like rushing the passer, it's not an accident that the good rushers get paid a lot of money. You know, when you can win consistently, and even more importantly, or just as important to that, when you have a group of guys that understands how to rush as one, you become a problem defensively. When you can get really creative on your back end, you don't have to sacrifice the back end and the coverage and some of those principles because you got to bring that fifth element. It can make it really hard on offenses, and that's where eventually I'd like to get to with this group.
We'd be remiss if we didn't ask an A.J. Terrell question since he was back. How did he look? Any limitations?
I don't know where he stands from limitations or anything like that. The limited time I saw him out there today, though, I thought he looked like AJ, which is obviously we know if he can go, it's going to be a huge boost to our defense. Saying that, like I'd be remiss not to say that in his absence, I thought D. Alford did an amazing job, man. He's done a great job for us, and he'll continue to have a big part of this defense.
You talked a little bit about Josh Allen, but James Cook, I mean, having another guy back there who can really cause some problems. I mean,
yeah.
How does that factor into everything, just having a guy who can do what he does?
Yeah, it felt a lot better when they didn't have an elite running back there, you know, because like I said, when they get everything going, when the runs game going, then the play pass gets going, then the keepers get going, and we obviously know what he can do as a pure drop back passer, and then you mix in his special, unique Superman stuff, and it's just, yeah, there's bags in my eyes for a reason. Like he is a pain in the butt. He is. He's a generational player. People use that term way too often, but he is that, you know, and it's cool because it's like national TV. It's a great opportunity to see where we stand, you know, to play the best offense maybe in the league and see where we stand against them.
I didn't talk to you since the last game when you all went down on the sidelines. How did that work out, and what are y'all planning to do moving forward and with the operation down there?
Yeah, I thought it was good, and the communication, you know, from last year, obviously being up the booth, and then the first 3 games, we've always been able to communicate well as a staff, but obviously getting down there, being with the guys, feeling their energy throughout the game, I thought it was all positive. I mean, I don't know if it would have made a difference in that game whether I was up or down, honestly, because our guys were so juiced up and ready to kind of flush the previous game out, but I'll continue to be on the field. The only thing I thought afterwards, I was like, man, kicking myself because maybe should have just started the season down there. But again, glad we kind of addressed it when we did. It was fun being down there with the guys. It's obviously a different vantage point, but it's I was used to that in LA. I was down there on the field for 5 years, so it felt very similar to those, and I thought it was positive, and we'll keep going in that direction.
Jake Matthews said post game that you got knocked over by a player.
I got smoked. Yeah.
Was that
My awareness level needed to pick up for sure. I was, typically you stay away from the defense, and I got myself caught where I was kind of right in the middle of almost by the first down marker, and it was one of the scramble plays that they hit on our sideline, and I think I was talking to somebody, over the headset, and I kind of looked over, and Billy Bowman, of course, he's scrapping with one of their players. The next thing I know, I get completely flipped over. So awareness level is definitely heightened now, and I got to stay the heck away from where the defense is at. So it was a good learning out for everybody.
You were a mobile quarterback, Zach.
I barely got my feet out of the way. Otherwise, we could have been talking ACL or something. So I got lucky.
Did it make it into the film session?
Ra fortunately did not show it but everybody in their own individual meetings, they were of course killing me. So.
You guys have not run a ton of play action. Didn't run a ton last year. Is that a philosophical thing with you? Is that a game plan specific?
No, I won't go into last year. I think we've talked about those kind of at length in terms of how we operated last year. Obviously, we were incredibly efficient and explosive last year and put up a bunch of yards. This year, 4-game sample, you kind of look at the flow of the games. Obviously, every game is its own entity, and every game's so different. You look at really 2 of the 4, Minnesota was run heavy. They were having a hard time stopping it, so there was no need to force play action. There was actually a couple times in that game I was like, man, we probably should have just kept running it. And then Carolina game, you get into kind of catch-up mode, and so really it's kind of too early, I would say, in the season to look at the statistics on those things, but play action is a big part of our offense. We got to get that going. I think we've had some really good plays off of it this year. We've missed a couple, and then we executed some pretty good ones last week, whether it's keepers or just normal play action from the pocket. But yeah, it's definitely something we want to continue to increase, and obviously the flow of the game kind of dictates all that stuff. There's times when you can call 10 of them, and there's times when maybe the flow is differently, and you're going tempo and different things that you're trying to present to the opposition that maybe it's a little bit less in each game. But overall, yeah, definitely we play action's a big part of our offense. Just kind of 2 of the 4 games have kind of been a little bit dictated a little bit differently.
Just to follow up on that, the success that you've shown on tape now of establishing the run game obviously gives defenses something to prepare for. Does that obviously also set up for play action?
100%. Very similar to what we talked about the Minnesota game. We executed the run game at a very high level, and they were playing 2 high shells basically the whole game, and so that kind of dictated us to keep running the rock. But yeah, for sure, we're looking for any of those opportunities that when we do feel like we got good opportunities to to get up and over the top of the 3rd level or the 2nd level of the defense, we definitely want to take advantage of that.
Bijan talked a lot about generating more explosive plays, and that was like a big goal for him this year. The Bills, they're a good defense, but they are susceptible to these types of explosive plays. Like, what are you looking for from Bijan? Just more the same, or
just play each play as its own entity. Don't hunt it up. Anytime guys press and look for the big play, it typically doesn't go well. So you just run through the flow of the offense. Know that if you stick with your details, fundamentals, techniques, stick to your reads, all those things, those naturally will take care of themselves.
How would you assess the performance of Elijah Wilkinson so far?
Elijah's been awesome, man. He's done a great job stepping in. He's a great dude to be around. I don't know how much you guys have gotten to speak to him, but his energy that he brings and just his joy for football, the touchdown run that B had, on one of our run concepts, he did a great job sealing it off on the backside, and then just seeing his excitement through the end zone with everybody. Can't say enough good things about Elijah. He's been awesome, and that whole group collectively, they're playing really well, and it's cool to see them gel. Obviously, offensive line play, it takes some time to kind of gel throughout the season, but can't say enough good things about Elijah and really the whole group.
Wayne Leopard has, kind of the system that he's been using here for several years, and guys leave and they come back.
Yeah.
They fit right back into like Wilkinson. What is that? How does that work? And how much have you experienced as far as the lead?
No, it's really cool to see. Obviously last year, kind of getting used to how everything is operated, and we tweak some things, but definitely didn't get away from some of the things that they had done well with the previous regime. And so Led has a really cool culture in that room. Those guys are so connected, and whether they're in the classroom, out on the field, you feel how close that group is. And it all starts with Coach Ledford. He does an unbelievable job handling, fundamentals, techniques, all the things that we're looking for in the run game and pass game, but then just bringing the group together. Those guys are always going to dinner together, and it's a special bond that you see from those groups. It's exactly what you want in every position group, but it's been really cool to see, now that we're a full year plus into it, just how important that is to Ledford and that offensive line room, and it's a reflective of the way they play on the field.
Even a guy like Nuzul, right, because he was under the free agent, and he was kind of like the developmental guy that worked his way up, and now he's doing real well as a starting center. For
sure. No, the development of a lot of guys that have been here under Coach Led is you can't say enough about it. It seems like it's plug and play, and obviously we've got our beliefs that we believe up front and what Coach Led's taught for a long time, and it is very impressive to see the guys that he's been able to develop.
Your name was with year 2 in the offense. I know it's only 4 games in this year, but were there things you looked at this offseason when you know the strength of your personnel? Like with Bijan specifically, that you wanted to do differently, wanted to do more of?
Yeah, for sure. We've kind of mentioned it in the past a little bit, just as far as like when we got here, it was like, all right, new system. Like we want B to play running back and learn the offense and the structure of the offense and his details from the running back spot. He was able to still catch a bunch of balls last year and have some production in the pass game. But that was definitely to your point, our big emphasis in the offseason was like, okay, now that he's mastered his role within the offense from the offset gun or in the pistol or underneath the center, that how can we expand his game? He's so talented. There's nothing he really can't do on the field, and his ability to move around in a number of spots. I know you guys have seen he's been all over the field, and he's incredibly smart. Coach Petrie does an unbelievable job getting those guys prepared every single week, and he's handling everything really well, and we'll just keep expanding on all those things that we've been doing.
With the status of Darnell Mooney just still in doubt at this point, how do you replicate his downfield explosiveness?
Yeah, it's been with the receiver spot really, since training camp, and then obviously Drake kind of got banged up the first game, and so we're just getting those guys back into it. Mooney was making some good strides, knowing that he had a lot of catching up to do from training camp, and so getting that group collectively just all together playing good football. Hopefully we can get Mooney out there and see some of the stuff that we know that he can bring in the pass game, and if not, then Casey Washington hasn't had maybe the opportunities that we thought and that what you guys saw out in training camp, but he's definitely a guy that can do that for us. But just getting all those guys back healthy, back rolling at some point, whatever that is, we're looking forward to that.
Bijan feels too good to be true. Rob always talks about, he makes him feel like a worse person just hanging around. And you got any dirt? You got anything we can?
Maybe he's too nice. I don't know. No, but he's on the football field, and he's one of the best competitors you'll ever see. So I got nothing on B. He's an unbelievable human being, just one of the best people you'll ever be around, and he just so happens to be a really talented football player.
Did you have his rookie year? I guess you weren't here, but obviously everybody was aware of him coming in here. Did you have that thought at all? I wonder if this guy can be everything they say he is?
Yeah, I thought, we've mentioned it a while back, but, saw him play in college. I was actually at one of his games when we had a bye week, and he was playing at Oklahoma State. And, he was the best player on the field, and they gave him a ton of carries. He had I can't remember how many total yards he had, but it was very similar to almost like last week, where it was like every time he touches it, something's going to happen. And then I can still remember that first game against Carolina that you guys played, and the first touchdown he caught, where he makes the guy miss and scores a touchdown on the opening drive, I believe. And so we were watching that in the locker room, like, this guy's going to be a problem. And so you always knew it was in him. We obviously scouted him when I was in LA and heard all the great things about him as a person, and then the talent just speaks for itself.
Yeah, Coach, what are some of the traits of Sean McDermott's defenses and then Coach Babbage, I guess?
Yeah, no, they're really sound. They've got their system that they run. They've had a lot of continuity over the years. They've had a lot of good players, but you can tell the emphasis that they have on getting the football back. That shows up in a big way. They're attacking the football, whether it's in the pass game or on any runners. So we got to be ultra ball aware this week. But they play hard. They play fundamentally sound. They play hard. You respect respect the way that they play the game, and we know it'll be a great challenge for us this week.
Your name had been kind of floated just as a potential Oklahoma State head coach. Have they contacted you?
I'll kind of leave that, but just honestly just focus on today and progressing this week.